Hey, how are you?
All right.
See ya. How are you handling this weather?
Yeah. Tried to go to like I woke up like really early in the morning. I tried to go to Hyde Park.
Oh,
Like day,
that's lovely.
but I got cold like midway on my way there. So I just like
Okay.
went back home.
Do you live close to Hyde Park? Or is it
Like 5 kilometers.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So like I usually walk like
Oh.
in like
No,
when it's
I
not
can
so.
see why you did so well.
People actually watch on YouTube, so like
Oh,
you'll want to
okay.
be in the frame.
Sure.
Uh,
Okay, that works well.
uh, yeah, so I think you want to wait for like 2 more minutes because people are usually late.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have done it. I could have made it easier for you and maybe condense all the pictures in one slide. Right now, there's
Oh, you
three
have
pictures.
slides.
There's just like 3 separate pictures.
Oh, you like sent me. Okay.
Yes, I sent you like 3 separate attachments.
All right.
If it's not too much to add,
Yeah.
cycle through
Totally.
them.
Yeah.
Take your time. I don't know whether you check your Utron. or your
I
TS.
do actually. It's just that when I reply from my Uterano one, it sometimes doesn't go through.
Oh, I see.
So I did reply,
Yes,
and
I
then you
understand.
did no, and then you did not get it.
Oh,
from
you
this
applied
one.
from the.
Yeah.
Oh.
But because it's like broken.
Oh no, I think that anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Good to know. I'll give it a mind.
No, like I should keep it.
So yeah, there's. Oh, we can have them on the screen simultaneously. Up to you, really.
Oh, okay. We can try that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the text is pretty good.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's easier if you just switch between them.
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay. I don't mind.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
What do you think? I can structure my spiel.
Yeah.
So that it's,
Oh, never mind. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that also.
Yeah.
works.
All right.
Yeah, we can take some editing liberties there.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, that actually works. Yeah.
Share. I'm not sure what's going on with. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, it is on YouTube.
Okay.
Hold on.
It can never be taken back.
It is. Not sure why everything is broken today. Okay.
This is in default.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think we're good to go.
Okay. Sure.
If you want to be in the frame, you got to like this is doing.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning, Tutti9s. How are we doing? How are we doing on this fine Thursday morning? Hope to instill some hype in you this morning. Okay, for those of you who don't know me already, just for the completeness and formality, I'm Abdullah. I'm a fourth year NSI 2T5 entrance, currently the academics for Extra Club. Can everyone hear me okay with the mic?
Oh yeah.
Okay, currently the academics for Extra Club, and I'm here to essentially offer you some form of liberation on a decision that 3 years ago I found myself
Dude, you're out of the frame.
It's okay. Contemplating quite intensely. So as first and second years, you're in a position where you have a superpower, like I like to say. The superpower is everything can seem interesting. You can pursue everything you find interesting with reasonable intent, and you're not at a loss because of it. The question is doing your due diligence and making sure that what you think is interesting is actually something you find interesting, and not dismissing things that you otherwise might have thought were interesting. So 3 years ago, I was in a similar position where, like most of you, maybe I was undecided about to be specific and feeling like everything's interesting except for I couldn't dismiss it. So here we are in a position.
I feel like if I can make a suggestion, clip it here because like it's yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. So, all good. Very technical. Okay, so as I was saying, it's putting you in a position where all the things that do seem interesting are you get provided with additional data points, additional instances of nuance, additional instances of witnessing what the lived experience of upper year students are, such that you're not in a position where you're making subsequent consequential decisions of things you might not know as much as you can about. And so in that sense, NSI Club and NSI, who do like the mentorships and mentor relations, are organizing what's called NSIful Week. Yes, good man. Thank you. An NSIful Week, in the same way that Frosh Week isn't actually a week, but rather 2 or 3 days, this will essentially be 3 days worth of events, each of which I intended to showcase a different independent aspect of all the majors, most importantly through the critical lens of the upper year students. 3rd and 4th years in each of those majors. So let me go through them chronologically. Day 1, courses and thesis spotlight, essentially showcasing every single major through what it will be the 3 or 4 most representative or essential courses in those majors. Rather than summarize what the themes, the high-level motifs, the high-level technical foundations that form this major, these will be the 3 or 4 courses that spotlight it and essentially give it character. In addition to that, a sample thesis currently being written by 4th year will be incorporated to demonstrate how these 3 or 4 courses propagate into research at the level being done by 4th year undergrad and master. Okay, so we'll have representatives from all 8 majors who are 4th years, and in addition to that, there will be representatives in the form of MSci alum representing the incoming transportation system, which none of you know anything about. I personally don't know that much about, and they will be planning on running it for the first time this year for the current second year students. So everyone here has a chance to be the second prospective cohort for the transportation systems major, and this would be a great first chance to meet firsthand with people who work in the industry and would have taken all the courses in it when they were MSci infra many years ago. Day 2 was the capstone carousel, as we're calling it. Essentially an intro to what capstone looks like in these majors. What does the design aspect of it entail? Is it industry focused? Is it you have a client otherwise? And as in the vein of day 1, how do the course aspects from the major, the essential broad strokes that define what the major is, manifest in capstone? I.e., what does the major look like in practice? Not what it qualifies you to do in industry or in grad school 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, but more so, what can you expect the day-to-day during 3rd and 4th year to be like, specifically in the instance of capstone? And then finally, day 3, standard style, ultimate major mixer. You have representatives from year 3, from co-op, from 4th year, across all majors, including extra additional alumni representing transportation as well. And this big, massive, ultra style alumni gathering of everyone. And at that point, all the additional informed nuances that you would have gotten from day 1 and 2, you can ask about it in more detail in day 3. So whether you came in knowing 100% I want to do this major and want extra reinforcement, or whether you're maybe at the crossroads between 2 or 3 majors looking for extra data points self-determined, or whether you're like me, back in the day, where you have no idea what any of them even entail. Each of these events is set to provide you with data points that will be sure to inform the very important decision you can make. Okay? Am I missing anything? Yeah, they will all be happening in the evenings. I understand your classes are late. And it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I was extra considered to make sure that the session doesn't run on Wednesday because I understand you have your Calc 2 midterm Thursday morning, which means that you can cram the night before like everyone does anyway. And so it will be Monday for day 1, Tuesday for day 2, Thursday for day 3. All in the evenings, and you'll be receiving an email shortly from me that showcases what the schedule is for the course thesis and spotlight. As in like when every major slot presentation is happening. Day 2 events will run in parallel, and day 3 is the next class. Okay, any questions? So what I'm hearing is I'll see you all there. Okay, that wasn't the most morale huge one, but fair enough.
Thanks very much. And it's early February, so by Valentine's Day, you'll have a major you're in love with. It's great. All right. All right. Thank you very much. And Abdallah is saying to play the Wordle, right?
Are you still doing quizzes at the center?
No, today, I promised them a quiz and then there was a snow day and there's no quiz again. However, we are doing a Wordle before lecture. Yeah. Do you want to stay and play? All right. Got to do it fast though. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's start with something universal, like a lot of vowels. Let's start with tutor.
That's terrible. There's 2 T's. Because you want to explore. Okay. Well, we're going with yours.
Let's see. Oh, I'm on the spot here. Okay.
I think let's do turns. I'll do the next one and then you'll do the next one. All right, that's better.
Okay, there's an L. Ooh. Any suggestions, any takers? You give them bonus marks if they get it right?
No. The only for pointer arithmetic.
Andy?
Andy. Oh no, gotta use the L.
7L.
Really? You have 100. And you have a better chance of getting something than I do.
Okay, you want candy? Fine. Okay,
Okay.
nice. Okay.
Fine. Fine, safe spot. Ends in Y. Interesting.
Flaky.
Blakey.
That's 6 words, 6 letters.
That is it now. Alright. Alright. Who got candy? Alright, that's for you. Who got flaky?
That's, oh.
Alright. See ya.
There you go.
Alright, thank you very much. Alright. Next time you come in, I'll put you on the spot for something else. Okay. Alright, okay. Okay, hi. So we are back to pointers. That's just how it is. So what I'm gonna do is, again, this is going to be like the last lecture where I'm really going just like hardcore into pointers. Again, I think this is the only way to do it, is to just like think it through. So I'll type the definitions of student 1, student 2, student 3 again, and we'll start doing examples again in case you don't have it written down. Oh, I actually already copied it to lecture 3, but I'll type it in again. Just actually, sorry, are there people who don't have this on their computer? Okay, so some people, so I'll type it quickly. I'll type it quickly so that you can type with me. Again, I feel like if you don't type it or write it, you are just not gonna learn it unless you feel that you already understand everything. So student 1 has a character array as the name, and it has an integer as an age. And then student 2 was kind of the same, except instead of a character array, what we had was a pointer to a car. And then the age was the same. And then student 3 was a const car star name, and it had an age as well. Okay, so again, to remind you, so what do those things mean? So if it's an array, you cannot assign to it. But you can modify the contents of name. Right? If it's a car star name, then you can assign to name and modify the contents at name, but you need to keep in mind that just because it's going to allow you to compile it doesn't mean that you actually get to write to it. And if we assign the string literal to name, that would crash. So this is the same. So can assign to name. Let me try Getting worse and worse here. Okay. So you can assign to name. You cannot modify the contents. And that just will not compile. Again, like we saw last time, that's if you try to do it directly. If you try to do strcpy, it's not going to enforce you're not being allowed to do it. And here, this does not apply, kind of, because the compiler is not going to let you change the contents of name anyways. Does that make sense? So those were kind of the main considerations. There is one more subtlety, which has to do with what happens when you pass a variable of this type to a function. So that's something that we've alluded to on Monday, but we haven't quite done it. So I will start doing it now, and then we'll do arrays. This is just lecture 2. And then we'll do arrays of those things. So, okay. So here's a function where what I'm going to do is I'm going to send not a pointer to this, but the object itself. And then I'm going to modify name. So I'll call it change name 1. And I'll name it st1. And I'll say st1 name at 0 is equal to m. And in main, I'll call this. So I'll say student1 st1 this, and I'll say change name 1 st1. Will this have an effect, or will this not have an effect? Anyone? So let me scroll up to the definition of student1. Who says this is going to have an effect outside the call? Sorry, I did not. Yeah, so this, who says this is going to have an effect? Who says it's not going to have an effect? All right, why not? Yeah.
Changing the counting the local variable.
Yes, I'm changing the local variable. So specifically what happens is I have student1, and student1 is just this data. So changing the local student1 is not going to have an effect. Right? But there is a subtlety. So let's say that I do a change name 2. And I do this. So I need to initialize student2 in a way that would allow me to change the name. So I cannot initialize it with a string literal because then I'm not allowed to change it. But I can declare a name, like so. And I can initialize st2 with the address of the first element of Mike, which I am allowed to modify, and the age. And then I do this. So let's look at student 2 again. So student 2 again is car name and age. So will this have an effect? Well, I kind of set it up to say that it will. The reason it will have an effect is that ST2, this guy, stores the address of the first element of this name. So I'm passing ST2 over here. When I say st2.name, what I'm getting is the address of this guy, right? Because st2.name over here is the same as st2.name over here. And that's the address of this capital M, right? So what that means is I go to the address of this capital M and I change it to a lowercase m. Well, that is going to have an effect. So let's just make sure that I'm not lying to you. I'm not. So we have %s, and I'm going to print. While we are at it, we'll print st1.name as well. So I'll do %s. And as you see, as predicted. Okay, so this had an effect. This did not have an effect. Does that make sense to everyone? Questions? All right. What about if I do this? So what's going to happen if I try to compile and run it? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah, anyone? Yeah. Say again? It's constant, so it's not going to, yeah, exactly. And like it's complaining already. So st3.name, you're not allowed to modify its contents anyways. So that's not going to compile. So you run it and there's an error. Make sense? So the reason it's like this is you might decide that you just want to make sure that the only way that you initialize the name is by just kind of passing some kind of string to it, and then you're never modifying it. You can reassign it if you want, but you're never modifying it. All right. So that's like that. Let's do the other way. So here, what we're trying to do is try to change the contents of name. So this is as opposed to so I just copied this and I'll name those like A, whatever. So if I do this, that is not allowed, right? So st1 is an array, so not allowed. You'll notice that I changed this to double quotes. It's not allowed either way, but if it's a string, it's supposed to be in double quotes, right? This is fine. So it will compile, but it will not have an effect. The reason it will not have an effect is you're modifying the local ST2. The reason we had a connection before is there was just the one name and we're modifying the contents at the address name. But here we're modifying part of ST2, which is the local ST2. So it will not have an effect. Similarly here, will compile just fine, but will not have an effect. Make sense? All right, let's do it the third way. So here, what I was doing is I was passing the object, not the pointer to the object. So what if instead we pass the pointer to the object? So again, I'm just copy and pasting this and I'll change all of those to B. I will post this code. By the way, you can always if you download the subtitles from the YouTube, you could literally plug it into Gemini and it's gonna generate extremely high quality lecture notes. I'm reading out the code enough that it just reproduces the code just from the subtitles. I will get around to doing it myself and fact checking, but in fact, you just get the subtitles from YouTube. You can get the contents of the lecture. It's amazing. Okay. So, all right. So this is going to be pointers. When I'm copying pasting like this part, possibly the subtitles are not going to be enough. So that's like this, and that's like this. So because there are now pointers, so I'm going to put the space in KR style. You can put the space wherever you like. It's the same. So here, what you got to do is you got to change this to an arrow. And you got to change the variable names so that they match. So that is still the same because PS1 arrow name is still an array. It's an array. Assigning to it is just not allowed, will not compile. This now will compile and it will have an effect. And that's the same thing as usual. You want to modify the contents of a variable, you send a pointer to it, you modify the contents, that will change the content. This, same thing. Make sense? So the intuition here is you're sending an object, you're sending a pointer to an object, you're changing the contents of the object. Okay, that will have an effect, except where you're just not allowed to change the contents of the object in this way because this is an array. Make sense? Yeah. Yes. So strcpy is the third way. So we can now do strcpy. So that would be C. So this is fine. Assuming that the original array was longer than one card because you need M and an L. And this is also fine. Again, assuming the S2 name is longer than one car. And this is not fine because ps3.name is a const car, so it will compile with a warning. But it may crash because ps3 arrow name is a const car star. You're not supposed to modify it. However, if you pass it to strcpy, C will not enforce your not being able to do that. So it may crash during runtime. And again, all of those may crash, right? So the way all of those can crash is if PS1 arrow name, PS2 arrow name just are not valid addresses, or they're valid addresses, but there is not enough space to store M and a null in there. So that can still happen. This will get you a warning and it may crash. Make sense? Okay. Let's do one more with strcpy, but with the dot. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna do strcpy over here. But this would be G. So if I do strcpy, okay. Who says it compiles? Who says it does not compile? It does compile. So this compiles. st1.name is an array. You can copy a thing to an array. Who says it's going to have an effect? You're right. It is going. Sorry, you're wrong. So st1. So st1 that I'm out of candy anyway, so it's okay. So st1.name. Like you are allowed to write to it. However, it's part of a local variable. Okay, gonna copy this. So st2.name, we are copying M to this. Will it compile? Who says it will compile? Who says it will not compile? It will compile. I think we got the majority. So this is fine. st2.name is a car star. You are allowed to copy to a car star. Will it have an effect? Who says it will have an effect? Yes, you're right. It will have an effect. And we actually already did this. It's the same as with the arrow, because st2.name is an address. It's the same address as in the main function. And again, ordinarily it will not crash. So C does not check for you whether there is enough space in st2.name to write M and null, but if there is, then it will not crash. What about this guy? It's the same story. It will compile with a warning. And again, it's the same story as change name 2. It's just that you're not allowed to write to st3.name, or not allowed, meaning that it will crash. So will have an effect. Well, the effect would be that the program crashes. Okay. So those are the options. It is complicated. So I don't think there is a way. Well, I think some people might be able to just memorize those things. I can come up with exercises that are not that for the midterm. So hopefully you kind of get to start to internalizing the mechanics of how it works as well. All right. Questions about this? All right. I have a question. Why is it so annoying? So the reason it's so annoying is that C gives you options. So with Python, basically the only option that you have is one of those functions. Which of those functions is like Python? Anyone? So like if I want to go and do something that's like Python, what can I do in Python out of all of those options? Let me give you a hint and scroll to the one that you can actually do. Yeah, it's one of the ones on the screen is something that you can do in Python. Which one is it? Say it. Just say the line number. Which one? Yeah. Which? 70? No, not 70. Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong place. Yes. Yes. So it is 70. Yes. So let's do the version in Python. So we don't quite have. We do have like structures in Python, so those would be classes, but we haven't done those in C. So instead, I'll do like a dictionary kind of thing. So I'll do like student is nice. So something like this, right? So that's just a dictionary. Oh, it opened a new window. Okay, cool. Okay. So that's like this. And then if I do change name, so it's going to take a student. And what I can do is I can say S name is equal to something else. Right? So why is so that's what I can do. So that's the only thing that I can do, right? So I can only pass a reference to S, right? So that means that if I change the contents of S, that's gonna have an effect outside the function. And I cannot change the contents of asset name. I cannot say asset name at 0 is something new. All I can say is asset name is equal to some other string. Does that make sense? So to be clear, so if I print student, and then I do change name student, and then I print student again. This is what's going to happen, right? So it will have an effect because the S here is an alias of the student. And that's the only thing that I can do. All strings in Python are const char stars, right? So the reason C is so annoying is that this is the only thing that you can do in Python. In C, you have all those other options. Why would you want all those other options in C? Well, for one thing, efficiency. So in Python, if you want to change the name, you have to create a new string. It's a whole new string. You need to place it in memory. That's slower than potentially just changing one character, for example. Why would you want to be able to pass not a pointer, but the actual object? Well, sometimes it's useful. Most of the time, what you would have is this pattern. So the same thing as in Python, where you're actually passing the address. The reason for that is that if student 3 is a lot of data, so if it's not just the name of 200 characters, but there's like a lot of stuff, copying that will take time. On the other hand, if you just send the address, copying that would take constant time because an address is 8 bytes and that's it. Make sense? So that's like this. All right, questions about this? All right. So we are almost done with this kind of stuff. I think I'll do another lecture probably, but still. So what's left is practicing with doing blocks of structs and blocks of pointers to structs. So we already did some exercises for that. We don't have a lot of time right now, but still I want you to do it. So okay, please write this. So I'm giving you 40 seconds. Time's up. So a block means we store the address of the first element of the block. So this would be size of student 1 times 50. And then change the name of student 1 of student number 3 in S1 block. So the way we do it, so we look up which of the change names actually works. So the one that works is the one with strcpy, right? So there were 2 that worked. Right. So this would be change name 1C. And that would be fine. So that takes the pointer to PS1. So this would be change name. And it would be the address of the third one. So ordinarily, I would write it like this. Sorry. Or you can do it with pointer arithmetic. Like so. Those are the same. We've done it kind of a couple times. Let's do 50 student 2s using malloc. So this would be the same, but student 2. So this one now does not work. So what do we need to do? So in order to change the contents of S2 block, you would need to, so there are several things. So strcpy would work if there is space, but there isn't currently space, right? So that's not an option. However, this would work, right? So you can say, I'll send the address of the third element of this block, and I'll just assign a string literal to it. So that would work. Does that make sense to people? So I'll say change name to B. And I'll send the address of S2 block 3. So this will work. But if you do that, if you try to modify the contents, it will crash. Why? Because we assigned the string literal, which you are then not supposed to modify. All right, 12 o'clock. We'll try to have some worksheets on Monday for this to consolidate all of this. And then I promise we'll move on to other stuff. All right, see ya. Bye.